In the endless black of space, a flicker disrupted the stillness, not a star, not a comet, but the birth of something ancient. Bright flashes tore across the void. And just like that, 15 enormous vessels emerged from nowhere, shimmering like ghost cities adrift between stars. Their hulls bore markings that pulsed in colors no human eye was meant to perceive, spectral, shifting, alive. At the helm of the largest ship stood Admiral Zextara, tall and solemn, his 4 arms sweeping across ancient controls. He was Catharian, a species born under blue suns, older than memory, their empire once spanning thousands of worlds. His dark eyes, bottomless and unblinking, studied the third planet from this system's modest star. Earth. It looked unchanged since the last time Catharian boots had touched its soil, 30 millennia ago. Back then, the planet had been a primitive wilderness, home to fire-bearing apes, frightened of thunder and the dark. Report, Zextara said, his voice like a low harmonic chord, deep, melodic, Catharian. We've arrived, Admiral, replied his navigator. Third planet confirmed. The one where the eternal vigil was lost. A nod. Slow. Certain. Then let's retrieve it, and be gone. This world has delayed us long enough. SEOQ. Advanced alien technology, ancient alien empires, lost alien ship. Meanwhile, far across the system, on the dark side of Earth's moon, the mood was anything but calm. Commander Jake Morrison dropped his morning coffee the moment the proximity alarms began to scream. In the control room of Luna Station, chaos blossomed, organized, but electric. Officers scrambled to their consoles, each heartbeat syncing with the pulsing red lights overhead. Talk to me, Jake barked, striding toward the main holoscreen. Lieutenant Amy Clark turned, pale as starlight. Multiple objects, sir. 15, no, 17 contacts. They just appeared on the edge of the solar system. No known origin. No propulsion trails. They weren't there, and then they were. Jake didn't need more. The tactical screen filled with red indicators, each marking something the size of a city, moving toward Earth with unsettling calm. They're scanning us, Amy added, barely above a whisper. And we can't stop them. SEOQ, first contact scenario, alien ships appear in the solar system, humanity meets aliens. On Earth, President Lisa Kennedy was in the middle of a dull budget meeting when her security detail stormed in. Madam President, said General Paul Martinez, you're going to want to come with us. It's not about budgets. It's about planetary security. Lisa gave him a flat look. That's quite an upgrade. But 20 minutes later, deep beneath the White House, staring at a massive screen showing an alien armada calmly approaching Earth, she understood. Dr. Carol Wright, the nation's foremost xenotechnologist, gestured toward a data stream. They appeared via what seems to be faster-than-light travel. No warning. No ripple. They just arrived. These are not scavengers. These are builders, ancient ones. And they've sent us a message, said Pete Davis, comms officer. The screen flickered. Static. Then clarity. A tall, gaunt alien figure with 4 arms and eyes like black mirrors appeared. Its voice rang out in a hybrid of ancient dialects, heavily processed through translation filters, primitive inhabitants of the Third World. I am Admiral Zextara of the Catharian Empire. 30,000 of your years ago, a vessel of ours, the Eternal Vigil, was lost upon your world. We have come to reclaim it, and all it contains. Comply within 1 of your days. Or face the consequences. The screen fell silent. In the command room, so did every heart. Lisa turned to Dr. Wright. Do we know anything about a crashed alien ship? Carol hesitated. Actually, yes. It's real. It's been in the Global Heritage Museum in Geneva for centuries. We call it the Geneva Artifact. It's where most of our technological leap came from. General Martinez added, that ship changed everything. Its materials, its systems. That was our spark. Without it, humanity wouldn't have left orbit. Lisa nodded. So we built a civilization, from their wreckage. She stood straighter. Draft a response. Tell them we're willing to talk, through diplomatic channels. Invite them to send representatives. Madam President, the general warned, they're not here to chat. They're here to reclaim what they think is theirs. Lisa smiled faintly. Then let's show them just how far we've come, with their help. SEOQ. Humans reverse engineer alien tech, crashed UFO gave us technology, alien ship in Geneva, back aboard the Catharion flagship, Zextara watched the human response with disbelief. The primitives not only understood his message, they replied in flawless Catharian. Worse, they invited him to diplomacy, as equals. This was supposed to be a simple retrieval, he muttered, his gaze fixed on Earth's pale blue glow. What have they become? 3 days later, the human ship New Horizons approached the Catharion fleet. It glided like liquid silver, its surface gleaming like a dream pulled from the void. It was undeniably based on Catharion principles, but it was cleaner, sharper, evolved. Take us in slow, Captain Ron Hayes told his pilot. Let's not ruffle any ancient feathers. Behind him, Ellen Brooks checked her translator one last time. A linguistic anthropologist, she'd immersed herself in Catharion culture for years. All from the wreck in Geneva. They still think we're primitives, she murmured. Let's not crush that illusion, all at once. Inside the flagship, Zextara stood frozen as the human vessel docked. The seal was perfect. The pressure equalized instantly. No delay. No hissing airlocks. Just precision. And then, the humans stepped through. Their clothes, practical. Their posture, unafraid. Their faces, calm. Admiral, said Ron, in fluent Catharian. Thank you for welcoming us. Zextara blinked. You, speak our tongue. Of course, Ellen smiled. Your ship's computer had a beautiful archive. The Admiral didn't respond immediately. Behind him, Valkera, his chief science officer, studied the humans with wide eyes. They shouldn't be this advanced, she whispered. And yet, they are. Inside the conference room aboard the Catharion flagship, the silence stretched like a gravitational field. Ellen Brooks gently set a small device on the center of the table, a translator and recorder. Elegant, sleek, impossibly compact. When she touched its surface, it shimmered to life with floating glyphs and softly glowing waveforms. Valkera, the Catharion science officer, reached forward hesitantly. As her fingers brushed the surface, the device responded instantly. Clear holographic menus, precise feedback. This is, more advanced than anything on our ships, she murmured. Ellen smiled, unthreatening and warm. Thank you. We had time to improve on your designs. The admission hit harder than any weapon. Across the room, Admiral Zextara straightened. We are not here to trade compliments, he said with deliberate gravity. We are here for our ship. The Eternal Vigil. It contains sensitive materials. We request, no, demand, its return. Captain Ron Hayes met his gaze with quiet strength. We understand your concern. And we're prepared to return the Eternal Vigil, but you need to know what happened after your ship crashed. Ellen tapped the translator. A projection appeared in the air, not just visuals, but a living memory. SEOQ, humans discover crashed alien ship, reverse engineering alien technology, first contact diplomacy, the projection began. A windswept field, the silhouette of the Eternal Vigil half buried in Earth's soil, centuries before modern civilization. Early humans, barefoot, curious, unearthed the strange craft like pilgrims unearthing a god. We didn't know what it was at first, Ellen narrated softly. Just a relic from the stars. But we treated it with care. We didn't strip it for weapons. We studied it. Preserved it. Honored it. As the years passed in montage, humanity evolved. The projection showed engineers documenting the Cather-ion systems, sketching them, reproducing them, understanding them. Then, improving them. We didn't just copy you, Ellen said. We learned from you. The room was silent as the images shifted, sleek human starships launching into the void, cities orbiting gas giants, undersea colonies, shimmering towers built from alloys that once baffled even Cather-ion science. Velkera leaned closer to the hologram. You've colonized 12 star systems? Ron nodded. So far. We live on 47 worlds. And we've made contact with 6 other species. Zextara's breath caught. 6. Ellen listed them, casually, and with 3 names, the room shifted. The Cather-ions knew those species. Feared them. Avoided them. You, befriended them, the Admiral asked. They were wary at first, Ellen admitted. The Voran Empire nearly vaporized one of our ships. But we helped them stabilize their ecosystem. Now we trade weekly. They send music. Velkera lowered her gaze. This isn't just advancement. This is transformation. The humans weren't threatening. They weren't boasting. But their accomplishments were undeniable. Quiet. Profound. SEOQ, humanity surpasses alien creators, galactic diplomacy, peaceful alien contact. Later, aboard the Earth-orbiting shuttle, Zextara sat in stunned silence. Below him, Earth was no longer a primitive world. It shimmered. Vast cities stretched like neural pathways across continents. Transport systems glided along transparent rails. Floating gardens spun in synchronous orbit. Oceans pulsed with bioluminescent colonies. This isn't the planet we left behind, Velkera whispered. The human escort, Colonel Steve Parker, smiled from across the aisle. It's the same world. We just learned how to take better care of it. The shuttle descended gently toward Geneva. A city that no longer sprawled outward, but upward and downward. Towering structures flowed like living crystals. Air traffic moved in silence. Children played in floating parks, laughing amid artificial gravity wells. Admiral Zextara, watching it all, couldn't stop his thoughts from spinning. They have done in 500 years what we haven't done in 50,000. Dr. Ninia Foster, Director of Xenological Studies, welcomed them with grace. She spoke perfect Cather-ion, her accent native. We're honored by your visit, Admiral. Inside the Global Heritage Museum, time itself seemed suspended. The eternal vigil rested at the heart of the building, restored with near-spiritual reverence. Polished, functional, beautiful. Around it, interactive displays, multilingual archives, and reverent silence. Engineer Meldara, the 3rd Cather-ion officer, approached the vessel. As she inspected the systems, her expression began to shift from awe to disbelief. These stabilizers. She said slowly, they're wrong. We didn't build them like this. Dr. Foster stepped beside her. We discovered a radiation flaw in the original configuration. We corrected it, increased output, reduced toxicity. I hope that's okay. Meldara blinked, then moved to another section. Then another. Each subsystem had been adjusted. Fixed. Enhanced. These are improvements, she whispered. How did you know what to change? Foster smiled softly. We tested everything. Iterated. You see, your people inspired us, but we didn't stop there. The weight of the realization settled over the Cather-ion delegation like gravity. The students hadn't just caught up. They'd quietly outpaced the teachers. They entered the memorial garden, a quiet, floating space within the museum. 3 statues stood beneath an artificial starlit sky, representing the original crew of the Eternal Vigil. At their feet, fresh flowers. Around them, plaques in Katharion and human languages. These statues are visited every year by schoolchildren, said Sandra Bell, the curator. They learn about your culture. About your gift. About how everything changed because of 3 unknown travelers from the stars. Zextara stood frozen, staring at the faces carved in translucent stone. Reverence. Kindness. Honor. You remember them? He asked, voice cracking. How could we not? Sandra replied. They're why we're here. They gave us the stars. SEOQ. Humans honor alien legacy, memorial to first contact, alien influence on human evolution. The delegation moved on, past displays showing species the Catharians had feared to approach, but which now partnered with Earth in research, trade, and cultural exchange. Velkera paused at one such exhibit. You've charted 14 new species. Most, beyond our frontier boundaries. We considered that region uninhabitable. Dr. Foster smiled. You'd be surprised what curiosity can overcome. Zextara turned toward her, his voice unusually soft. And you share your knowledge freely? She nodded. We learned it from you. The least we can do is give it back. The Admiral walked slowly back to the viewing window. Geneva shimmered below. And for the first time in many years, he wondered, were they still the Empire? Or had they become the relic? He had come for a ship. But what he had found, was the future. Back aboard the Catharion flagship, Admiral Zextara sat in the dim quiet of his quarters, staring out through the viewport. Below him hung Earth, no longer the cradle of primitives, but a world reborn, wrapped in light and innovation. It pulsed with the quiet energy of a civilization that had not merely survived, but transformed. Velkera entered, holding a data slate. Her expression was uneasy. Admiral, she said softly. There's been discussion, about what we've seen. Zextara didn't turn around. Then say it. We've become stagnant, she said, voice trembling with honesty. The humans, they've advanced not in centuries, but in spirit. We believed they would be beneath us. Instead, they've outgrown us. They've built something we were afraid to build. He was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded. I know. But not everyone on the flagship shared their humility. Commander Thexrel, hardened, angular, a true disciple of the old ways, stormed into the command chamber. This cannot stand, he snapped. We are the Catharion Empire. They have stolen our technology, flaunted our designs. They've made contact with species we considered untouchable. And now they speak to us as equals. Zextara's gaze remained calm. They've done nothing but show us respect. They're dangerous, Thexrel insisted. They could threaten our place in the galaxy. The room fell quiet as he delivered the line that chilled the air. Demand compensation. Immediate return of the ship. Payment for 30,000 years of unauthorized use. And submission to Catharion oversight. Zextara's fingers drummed against the table. Thexrel's fear was not unfounded, but his response came from an empire too long insulated from humility. Still, the Admiral nodded slowly. Prepare the demands. SEOQ, alien demands Earth surrender, first contact goes wrong, humans refuse alien ultimatum. On Earth, President Lisa Kennedy was having lunch with her daughter when the call came. Within minutes, she stood once again in the subterranean command center, watching the Catharion Admiral's image fill the screen. The tone was different now. The warmth had drained away. In its place, cold authority. Humans of Earth, Zextara said, the Catharion Empire has made its decision. You will return the Eternal Vigil. You will relinquish 12 of your colonies as compensation. You will submit to oversight to prevent further misuse of Cather-ion designs. You have one planetary cycle to comply. Then, silence. General Martinez blinked. Well. That escalated. Dr. Carol Wright stood beside the president, analyzing the data. They're scared, she said. They thought they'd be the gods of this encounter. But they saw something they didn't expect, a mirror. Ambassador Richard Turner added, this is a test. They're hoping we'll blink. Hoping we'll accept their dominance. Lisa Kennedy took a deep breath. Draft a response. Polite, firm. Offer continued dialogue. But let them know, we do not surrender. But the Cather-ions had already prepared for rejection. 6 armed shuttles launched from their fleet, cutting silently through Earth's upper atmosphere, descending on Geneva. The mission, seize the eternal vigil by force. But Earth was watching. Lieutenant Kevin Walsh piloted a small fighter, patrolling Earth's skies above Switzerland. When his sensors lit up with unidentified signatures, he switched to battle-ready mode. Alien shuttles. This is Earth defense. You are entering restricted space. Turn back or be engaged. The response came, mocking, dismissive. Primitive creature, your toy cannot stop us. Kevin sighed. You really shouldn't have said that. With a flick of his fingers, his ship moved. Not like a machine, but like a thought. The fighter danced between the massive alien vessels like a leaf in the wind, weaving through them with surgical precision. The Cather-ions had numbers. They had size. They had legacy. But Earth had something more powerful, adaptation. Walsh disabled each shuttle non-lethally. No deaths. No destruction. Just silent defeat. All 6 alien craft floated dead in the air, their systems offline, their navigation crippled, and their crews alive. SEOQ. Earth pilot defeats alien fleet, humanity versus alien empire, alien invasion stopped by Earth's tech, back aboard the Cather-ion flagship, warning lights flared. Zextara watched in disbelief as the report came in, all shuttles neutralized. No damage to human infrastructure. No casualties. All losses on our side. Then a calm human voice appeared on the bridge screen. Dr. Marcus Lane, Earth's chief systems architect, smiled politely. Admiral. Apologies for the interruption. We've detected some inefficiencies in your fleet's computing systems. We've taken the liberty of patching your quantum processors. Around the bridge, Cather-ion officers stared at their consoles as data recompiled and subsystems updated, without permission. Lane continued, still polite. We've been monitoring your activity since your arrival. You're fascinating. But please understand, we've already seen how this ends. And we'd prefer to avoid conflict. The screen went dark. The implications were clear. Earth could have dismantled the entire fleet, and chose not to. SEOQ, alien fleet hacked by humans, alien technology upgraded by Earth, humans show mercy to invaders. The next morning, Belcara returned to Zextara's quarters. She'd stayed up all night. Not in fear, but with hope. Admiral, she said, what if this isn't the end of our story? What if it's the beginning? She showed him her data slate. Charts. Graphs. Possibilities. For 10,000 years, we've stagnated. We thought knowledge was a treasure to guard. But the humans, they share it. They collaborate. They build bridges. Zextara looked up. They've done in 5 centuries what we refuse to attempt. She nodded. What if we asked them to teach us? The question hung in the air like gravity. Trembling, heavy, undeniable. Before he could answer, a message came in from Geneva. Admiral, said Captain Ron Hayes, we'd like to invite you back to Earth. We have a proposal. 2 hours later, the Catharion delegation sat once more in Geneva. Dr. Carol Wright led the meeting. Captain Hayes and Ambassador Turner flanked her. "You came here seeking your ship," Carol began. "But the eternal vigil has become more than that. It's a monument to what's possible between our people." She tapped a console. A new projection filled the air, a joint facility. Humans and Catharions working side by side, deep within the eternal vigil itself, now transformed into a shared research vessel. "We propose an exchange," she said. "Keep the ship here. But not as property. As a shared embassy. A center for innovation." Valkera's eyes lit up. "A research alliance?" Carol nodded. "Our scientists. Your scientists. Working together. We'll share our discoveries freely. You'll share yours. Together, we can reach deeper into the cosmos than either species ever could alone." Zextara looked around the room. Valkera was glowing with anticipation. Meldara, once skeptical, now fascinated. Even Thexrel sat in thoughtful silence. "This could be a new golden age," Valkera whispered. "Not just for them. For us." The Admiral stood. And for the first time in his long career, he bowed his head, not in defeat, but in awe. 3 weeks later, the newly christened Eternal Vigil Research Center opened its doors. The ship, once a fallen relic, now pulsed with life. Human engineers and Catharion scientists moved through its corridors. Ideas flowed. Languages intertwined. Discoveries unfolded. Valkera remained on Earth, the first official Catharion exchange researcher. In the labs, she watched quantum fusion experiments break old limits. She smiled. "These humans," she said to Tony Martinez, "they don't just adapt. They reinvent." Through the glass, students from both species laid fresh flowers in the memorial garden. They remembered the past, and built the future. Above them, stars shimmered in silence. Sometimes, the greatest gift a teacher can give, is a student who returns to teach. And sometimes, the most powerful empire, is the one willing to learn.